Hey everyone, this is Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and today we're going to take one last look at Mars's Cazimi in Scorpio, which is coming through over the weekend, and we're going to try to look for some deeper context and clues to help illuminate what this transit is all about. That is our agenda for today. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, share your comments and reflections, and you can find a transcript of any of my daily talks, including today's, on the website, nightlightastrology.com. And most of you know the first year class, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystics, starts tomorrow. So if you would like to join, it is not too late. Go over to nightlightastrology.com, click on the first year course page under the courses tab, and you can learn more about the program. It starts tomorrow. It is not too late to join. You can still register and get enrolled so that you can start with us tomorrow. All of the classes are held online via live webinar. They are interactive, and there's a lecture portion and then an interactive Q&A and discussion portion. 30 classes on the year. In between major units of study, we have breakout study sessions led by our staff. There's an interactive group forum discussion where you can ask questions year-round. There's a ton of bonus material, recommended reading, listening, optional assessments, a workbook, quizzes, all sorts of stuff that's there to help you go as deeply as you want to go or intend to go. Some of you may be wanting to practice professionally. Others are just doing this because this is a hobby or something you're doing for your own spiritual growth and development. At the bottom of the page, you will find different enrollment options. Remember, everything is held on a class website, so you can attend live or you can follow along remotely at your own pace. And at the bottom, again, payment options. Early bird saves you $500 off. There is a payment plan spread out over the course of a year, over 12 installments, and then need-based tuition. It is not too late to register using need-based tuition. So if you could use a little help to make the program happen and make it more accessible for your budget, if you need a little help to make it happen, we want to make sure that not only one person or one type of person economically or financially can take this program. We feel like it should be accessible. So we trust people who can pay our asking price to pay it, and then people who need a little bit of help to use the tuition assistance if it makes sense. So check that out. Any questions? Email us info@nightlightastrology.com, and can't wait to see you guys for a new program tomorrow. Really excited. The other thing that I am sneak previewing is next Monday, we will be starting the 2024 Kickstarter campaign. So the last 40 days or so of every calendar year, I fundraise to support the ongoing creation of all of the free content I make year-round on the website, 5 days a week, including bonus content that I make and live streams and stuff like that happen occasionally throughout the year. It gets to almost 300 videos per year that we do. And all of those are free for all of you. So what we do is at the last 40 days of the year, we ask people who enjoy the channel to pitch in to support the work in the year ahead. That includes supporting me and my staff, without which it would not be possible to do all of this year round. It also supports the ongoing need-based tuition that we offer. And we have tons of rewards that come when you donate. So you'll find next week, I'll just show you, I can actually show you the preview of the Kickstarter. Isn't launched yet, but I'll show you the preview page. So you'll see that as you scroll down, there's going to be rewards available. We have, for example, the $25 pledge, you can get an Astrology of 2024 calendar that will track out all of the transits I'll be looking at on the YouTube channel. We also have an exclusive Astrology of 2024 video where we go through all of the Astrology of 2024, the major movements and stuff like that. You can get a year ahead horoscope reading for your rising sign. Alex is joining me to make those gifts this year. So you get a whole year ahead for your rising sign with Alex and I. You'll see you can pick up my new book, and there's lots of other things too. So I'll be previewing all of that next week. We're going to be trying to break last year's record of our backer total, which was 1,776 backers. We're trying to just do a little bit better than that. So we've added close to 10,000 new viewers in the last year. And so those of you who are new, this is the 10th year in a row that we've run this Kickstarter as a way of supporting the channel and keeping all the content free and accessible. So anyway, more on that next week. Just wanted to sneak preview that a little bit because the Kickstarter will begin next Monday. So, all right, let's take a look now at some of this deeper context and see what kinds of clues we can find as to the meaning of the Cazimi. So here we have it. And you'll see on the screen that I have the Sun Mars conjunction pulled up. So there it is. It's happening Friday into Saturday. So the 17th into the 18th. Now, what I find really interesting about this is the context. Context is everything in astrology. If you want to understand what a transit is going to be like, you start with the basic planetary combination. For example, what is the Sun Mars conjunction like, which we've explored at length. But then you also want to add in contextual factors. For example, I'm going to show you some of the context that I've been paying a little bit more attention to and thought you guys might like to pay attention to as well. One is that this Mars Cazimi is happening in a very tight trine with Neptune. That's interesting. We're going to talk about that. The other thing that's interesting is notice that the Mars-Sun conjunction comes in the bound of Saturn. So I have the bound rulerships, the Egyptian table of bound rulerships up, and you'll notice that Saturn is the bound ruler. That's also interesting when you consider that the bound ruler is Saturn, and Saturn is also configured by a whole sign trine to Scorpio from Pisces, and that Saturn has just turned direct. I like to go a little bit further down the rabbit hole sometimes. I notice, for example, that Saturn is in the exaltation of Venus in the sign of Pisces, as well as the bound of Venus. Notice here's the bound of Venus that Saturn is in, and then the exaltation of Venus. In the meantime, isn't it interesting that Venus is in her own domicile, but also in the exaltation of Saturn, which is the sign of Libra. So you have a kind of mutual exaltation between Venus and Saturn. And in addition to that, another interesting thing that Venus is doing at the same time, and we've offered this context in a different video this week, is Venus is in a moving sextile with Mercury. Also, Venus is in the bound of Mercury, while Mercury has just entered the bound of Venus. So you have mutual reception by term or bound between Mercury and Venus, while they are also in a sextile with one another. These are all really interesting little contextual details that can give us hints about what may play out. So I'm going to put some of those things together. I'm going to leave these weird looking drawings up on the screen, and I'm going to pontificate for you. So first of all, one thing that can come up with Mars and the Sun in Scorpio is the theme of cutting. Now, when I say cutting, I mean that metaphorically. Of course, it can be literally like stabs and like stab wounds or something. Like you could see in the news some really like terrible story about a stabbing or something. It would not be uncommon for Mars and the Sun at in this space that they're in. The conjunction between Mars and the Sun can be like the pangs of the heart, or being stabbed with words or acts that break your heart. It could literally mean cutting your finger, or like a burn or a cut. So the idea of something burning or cutting or stabbing, or and all of those being like symbolic. They don't have to be literal and physical. They could be emotional or psychic. But you're thinking of like this kind of stabbing, cutting energy with Mars. And you think about that emotionally. Like, oh, that emotionally stabbed me right in the heart. Like we say things like that. Now, when you look at the trine with Neptune, you also think about things that soothe, things that heal. So could we be looking at heartache, heartbreak, stabbing, hurting, cutting words or actions that maybe existed in the past, but are now being healed or soothed? We're revisiting a wound. We're sort of peeling the bandage off, and we're saying, okay, like I'm looking at this again, or I have to redress the wound, or, oh, look, I peeled back the wound and some healing. I peeled back the bandage and some healing has taken place. So I love the potential for things that hurt, cut, burn, and yet there's the potential for some kind of soothing or healing with the trine to Neptune. You could find that both happen. There's an explosion emotionally and some cutting words are said, but then there's a healing that happens. Well, at least someone finally said it. It might be like that. At least someone's finally being real. It hurts, but it has to hurt if it's to heal. It was the I think that was the healer from Neverending Story. It has to hurt if it's to heal. So there might be something like that. I think there's other really interesting things to consider. You look, for example, we talked at length about the third decan of Scorpio, where this conjunction is taking place. And I've been reading this interesting book. I'll just pause this for a second and show it to you guys. It's called 36 Secrets, a Decanic Journey Through the Minor Arcana of the Tarot. And I've been brushing up on this and a few other texts for the development of some of my masterclass series. What I find interesting is that this particular decan, the third decan of Scorpio, is related to the Seven of Cups in the tarot, according to this author, and that is a card that is sometimes about illusions and fantasies, and maybe there's something illusory that we're ready to let go of, and it hurts to let go of it, but it's healing to let go of it. And you get the same feeling with the bound ruler being Saturn turning direct in Pisces, where there's such deep emotional healing that can take place. Saturn in Pisces may say, I'm ready to be mature emotionally and move on and develop and grow by incorporating, some element of realism or practicality or groundedness. I'm able to accept disappointments, more easily than I have been able to in the past, or I'm able to move forward, remaining open to possibilities and dreams and new amazing things coming in, but only if I'm also capable of accepting disappointments, failures, or allowing for a process of disillusionment to take place. So this could be about the beginning of the start of a mature letting go. And you get that feeling also because the Sun and Mars are initiating a new cycle of activity with the trine to Neptune. There might be some way in which the only way that you can start fresh is if you let go of something that hasn't worked. Disappointment, disillusionment, letting go, and healing old hurts, bitterness, resentments. So these are some of the subtler themes you can pick up on just by looking at some of, Mars and the Sun are bound by Saturn, who's just turned direct in Pisces. Mars and the Sun are trine to Neptune. Neptune in Pisces as well. So there's a realism and a kind of bittersweet releasing and healing and emotional maturation that I see taking place through this conjunction of Mars and the Sun. Now, it gets more interesting, though. I think there's another little layer of information that's useful when we look at Saturn in turn having this mutual exaltation with Venus. Venus and Saturn in a mutual exaltation, I think the possibility, and I'm going to kind of clear the drawings and refocus it here. So now let's look at the fact that we have these two planets exalting one another, while we also have Venus and Mercury traveling in a sextile in each other's bounds. So first of all, what I want to say is that just through the connection of Saturn to Venus, within the context we've already given Saturn as the bound ruler of the Mars Cazimi, I wonder if there isn't a sense of karmic balancing that's taking place that we can grasp and understand intuitively. I mean, one of the best things in the world is when something has to be let go of, but you understand exactly why. And it's clear. It's not confusing. It's not, you don't have to fight it so hard because you just know, yep, this is the right thing to do. Or you just know that an expiration date has been reached, or you know that this is the best and most reasonable and wise and ultimately beneficial thing to do, to let go of something or to move on from something or to choose something new or to let go of someone. And you say, okay, well, this isn't an easy thing to do. It's painful, but I also know that there's a kind of karmic symmetry and intelligence and a beauty even to what's happening that I can understand. I'll never forget when I was, this is just a story of something similar that happened to me. When I was in college, my first like serious girlfriend with 3 years. And I remember there was a period of time where all of a sudden we weren't talking for several weeks. It's just like, oh, we haven't talked. I suddenly was like, I haven't talked to my girlfriend for like 3 weeks. I know that might sound really weird, but we had just gotten busy with our own lives. And then I called her and I was like, I just realized that we haven't like, we're just like drifting apart or something. And it's like, do you want to like sit down and talk? And when we sat down to talk, man, it was like we both just knew it was over. We just grew apart. And it was bittersweet, but there was this knowing that we both had, like, yeah, our time is up. That was a huge growing up experience for me. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced anything like that, where you have to do something hard, but it's time. And so even though it's painful, it's very healing because you know that there's an intelligence that's guiding you and you know this is the right thing. I suspect that Saturn turning direct in Pisces as the bound ruler of the Mars Cazimi, mutually exalting Venus, who's with the South Node, just knows this is a loose end that's getting tied up. This is something that, we tried, but it's time to let go of. Or this is something that was very appealing to me, but isn't any longer. And just reaching that point. Now, when you add in that Venus and Mercury are sextile to one another, I can't help but wonder if what is also emerging is a new idea, or that one of the things that makes it a little easier to let go of something is that there is something new to be excited about that's emerging simultaneously. For example, I find that sometimes, intellectually, I'll be ready to let go of focusing on something or studying about something. And it's, the way that I know that I'm ready to let go of something is because I'm getting excited about something else. And so I go, okay, I'm the kind of person, I don't know about you guys, that I have to finish a book once I start it. I can't just like let it go. I have to finish it. And it's always the most frustrating for me when I'm reading a book and maybe I've been on a trajectory of reading certain kinds of books. And all of a sudden I go, you know what? I just don't want to read these kind of books anymore. I really want to read this. But I'm like, well, okay, you can read that, but first you must finish the book that you're on. Could be something like that in the air right now too, where there's some need to complete, resolve, let go of something, but you're just, chomping at the bit because there's new ideas, new things you're learning, or new skills you're developing, new people you want to be around, new ideas you're fascinated by, new things to get excited about, and new things that are starting to present themselves as viable opportunities for the future. Okay, fair enough. Still have to do the wise, mature thing and let go of the old thing first. Just as a very basic example of this kind of thing, I can't tell you over the years, probably at least 1,000 people, if I had to guess, that I've spoken with in astrology readings where they are asking about the future of their love life before getting out of a relationship that they no longer want to be in. And it's not my job to tell people, oh, you're wrong, or that's bad, or it's just human. I don't have any judgments about it. But what I've noticed is that for people who say, I'm really excited about the future of my love life, I'm feeling stuck and unhappy in my current relationship, that things go a lot better when they first maturely like square up and dissolve that bond, or let go of it, or address it, or whatever needs to be done, and then move into questions about what might be next. Because a lot of the time, what I see the oracle reflecting back is sort of like, it's almost like maybe I'm wrong. It's almost like the universe is like, okay, if you want to start thinking about the future before maturely dealing with your present situation, we'll throw you a few real, screwy relationships that can like tempt you, or maybe you'll have some kind of inappropriate contact and you'll end up, betraying someone, or if you are thinking about the future before dealing with what's right in front of you, your maturity is such that you're not going to attract a solid relationship like right away. I don't know if that's a thing or not. I've noticed that pattern. So anyway, I feel like the Mercury Venus contact right now is exciting. Mercury Venus, for example, is like that person you meet at a party that you realize instantly, you're my friend. We could do something creative together. Or it's that person you meet when you're single that is instantly charming and you just gravitate toward. Whether it's substantive or not, maybe is a different question, but there's a chemistry there. So there's something very like chemically exciting in the moment, as we're also at a place where it's like there are open wounds, and there's a need to let go and like wrap something up. So there's a little interplay between the cautious, slow, smooth healing, releasing, surrendering, dealing with disappointment, disillusionment, grief, and then simultaneously there's a very exciting, like, it's like, Mercury, Venus are walking in and they've got a beat. So will be interesting to see how those things combine. But anyway, I hope that the description of this context and these little clues we can unpack through the dignities is useful for you. Hopefully you'll be able to identify some of these qualities in your experiences and the people and situations you find yourself in, or even the internal dialogue you're having right now. All right, well, that is it for now. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Don't forget, Kickstarter begins on Monday. Hoping to rally your support. If you love this channel, I hope that you'll consider pitching in, and I'll tell you more about that. We'll get it kicked off next week. All right. And for all of you who are joining the new class starting tomorrow, see you soon in class. And it's not too late to join if you want to. All right. Take it easy, everyone. Bye.